Alright, what's going on, guys? As we get closer and closer to the upcoming release of Elden Ring, we only have a few weeks left. There are still quite a bit of things we don't know. And so we still have some things we've been looking out for, and quite a bit of things we hope to see in the final release of Elden Ring. So I asked you guys, what were some of your final hopes before Elden Ring releases on the 25th? Now, I had quite a bit that come from me, and my own things that I hope to see in the final release. So we're gonna break all of those down here today. But let me know what you think. What are some things that you want to see in Elden Ring that haven't been revealed yet? And of course, if anything we talk about today has been spoiled, please do not tell us that down in the comments. But if you are new to the channel, consider subscribing. We talk about all things Elden Ring here. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. The first final hope I want to talk about for Elden Ring today is one that we speculated about since a long time ago. And that is that at some point in the game, I really hope there's a big Eldritch Twist. Now, we already know that Elden Ring has plenty of horror elements. That just comes with a Miyazaki game. However, the thing I'm talking about here really skirts the lines of cosmic horror. I want to see something that completely does not fit into this world we've seen so far. And you guys already know that the perfect example of what I'm talking about is Bloodborne. When we first started Bloodborne, nobody expected it to take this alien turn. It was a game about werewolves and beasts and going out and hunting these creatures. But about at the midpoint, we really saw this stark change that introduced these elements that nobody predicted. We went from werewolves and vampires into cosmic aliens, and it appears like Elden Ring might take that same route, and I really hope it does. Now, ever since we got the 2019 trailer and there was that line about that which commanded the stars, there's been a running joke that Elden Ring could potentially be a sci-fi game. And when we got to dive into the lore a little bit in the network test, there were a lot of hints at that possibility. And with Miyazaki recently stating that the moon is going to play a large part in the Elden Ring lore, it appears that we're on track for this exact Eldritch Twist. On the surface, Elden Ring looks like a Lord of the Rings, high fantasy type RPG, and I know the vast majority of people are going to be going into this game expecting that. And so if they can take everybody's expectations for the story, completely subvert it and turn it on its head, then I think that would create a perfect wow factor to get a lot of people to remember this game for a long time. The next hope for the final build of Elden Ring actually comes from one of you guys, and you said that even though we have the fast travel mechanic through the Graces, you hope that the world is still interconnected in that seamless way like Dark Souls 1. And I do too. Although I do have my doubts of this being a possibility just based on the things we've seen so far of the world of Elden Ring. The thing that made Dark Souls 1 so able to be connected like that was verticality. The world of Dark Souls 1 was almost set up in a spiral, so that you could be halfway through the game and find an elevator that takes you all the way back to the beginning. Bloodborne had a little bit of this, but I am honestly surprised that this formula hasn't returned in the Souls series as of yet. But with Elden Ring being built upon an open field world, it doesn't ultimately seem like that's going to be a possibility, and we really didn't get a taste of that in the network test. However, a very, very long time ago, we got a leak from Omnipotent, who suggested that there was going to be this underground web of passages and dungeons that connected the entire world in upon itself. Now, we didn't see any of that in the network test, but I don't think it completely rules it out. We still haven't gotten to completely look inside the legacy dungeons, but I do hope at some point in Elden Ring, even though we do have the fast travel, that we can still have that interconnectivity that we know and love. Because it was an amazing tool to get us to memorize the world and stumble upon secrets that we would have otherwise missed because of fast travel. They really had lightning in a bottle with that first world design, and I don't know why they changed it, but hopefully it does make a return. The next one was also submitted by you guys, and I find it to be probably the most interesting one. And that is a hope for an ending that has us all divided on which is correct. Miyazaki is on record stating that the story of Elden Ring is one that we're going to be able to resonate with and is going to impact us more so than the past games. And if there's somehow a way they can wind this story throughout the game and make it to where different people get different endings based on their own personal convictions, I think that would be a very cool thing to do. I think the closest we've had to this was probably Sekiro, where we had the choice to either sacrifice Kuro or ourselves. But I don't think it quite accomplished what he's talking about here, and that's due to the fact that we didn't really have that option presented on first glance. But I think with the Souls games and Elden Ring being presented in more of an obtuse manner than most media, I think there's even more potential here to impact the community that plays this game and have us pitted against each other based on the endings that we got, on a deeper level than just a good or bad ending. In the Dark Souls games, we typically only had the options to link the flame or let it fade, and with Elden Ring being more of a personal story, I can't wait to see what they come up with. Moving on from that, the next hope that you guys said you wanted was an active PvP community for a longer time. We've had the Elden Ring PvP debate already, so there's no need for me to dig that back up, but I think it would be a big mistake to write that off as a non-factor in the longevity of these games. PvP is what sustains the player base in these games over a long period of time, and with the vast customization and new build options, I think there's too much potential here to not hope for this. We got a pretty decent taste of what Elden Ring's PvP is going to be like in the network test, although it was kind of an unbalanced mess at the time, and I think that was mostly due to the limited weapons and people just not knowing how to play the game yet. But from what I've heard, the end game of Elden Ring is going to be a vastly different picture with our build variety, and we haven't really seen how they can cater to the PvP community in the later stages of Elden Ring. We still don't know if there's going to be a 1v1 arena, but I think if they do deal with the cheaters and they do take out some of the glitches, we may as PvP players finally have a new home than Dark Souls 3. It's been almost 7 years with having no new PvP, so I really hope that the final build of Elden Ring can really nail it and give us that fresh and sustaining experience that we need. And the final hope for the final build of Elden Ring, for at least this video, are fantastical settings that still make sense in the grounded world. And let me explain what I mean by that. When I thought about this concept, the first area in the Souls series that came to mind was Shulva Sanctum City. If we think about it from a physical perspective, it seems impossible, but it works so well in the world of Dark Souls 2. Now, we can already see elements of this in Elden Ring, but if I had to think of something that would fit the perspective of what we've seen so far, to me the first thing that comes to mind would be a giant castle made out of the roots of the Erd Tree or something like that. But I'm hoping for things that aren't simply made out of stone, or don't verbatim reference European architecture. I think what made Shulva stand out so much to me was its Mayan influence, and with nearly all the castles in the Dark Souls series being European medieval castles, I'm hoping Elden Ring has at least a few different areas that don't directly draw from that influence, but instead take the paracausal elements at play in the world and use it to create something that's going to take our breath away, while also maintaining the context of the laws that govern its own world. For example, we know that there's a school of magic that governs gravity, so perhaps we could have this fractured area held together by the gravity magic, but it can be bent and morphed in ways that physics wouldn't allow. But I really hope there's things like that in the final game. And no, I haven't been spoiled on them, so if you have, don't tell us. But those are the 5 main things that I'm still hoping to see in the final game. There really is so much potential for Elden Ring to really capitalize on all the things that made Dark Souls great, and I firmly believe that it will. But that's going to pretty much do it for the video. Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like on the video. And if you're new around here, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, but I'll catch you in the next one.